Hello, welcome back. Right, as you can see, this is supposed to be a Tempest comparison, but I've run into a few difficulties with it. Firstly, it never came out on the Commodore 64 by the look of things, so I don't know why that is. I find it totally bizarre. I can only find for the Amstrad and the ZX Spectrum, and for the Commodore 64 I had a look on some various Commodore forums, and it seems that the nearest game to it is a game called Axis Assassin, which I know nothing about, don't know the instructions or anything, don't know the plot line or anything. So I had a quick go at that, and that seemed Tempest-like. So what I've done is I've bunged it into this video. So this will be Tempest on the Commodore, sorry, on the Amstrad CPC 464, and on the ZX Spectrum and Axis Assassin for the Commodore. Right, and also when it came to sort of trying to do the Spectrum version, suddenly they realised that the SD card that I had the game of it on, I can't find anymore. I don't know where it's gone. What a run of luck I'm having at the moment with Spectrums blowing up, and now SD cards can't find, bloody tiny poxy little things, isn't they? But I had a bit of a brainwave, which is unusual for me. I had done a standalone review of the Spectrum version a couple of years ago. So what I've done is I've just downloaded that and I've cobbled it into this. This was, just word of warning, this was before I realised anything about games being played in the correct aspect ratio, so it is in 16:9 as opposed to 4:3. So please, aspect ratio police, let me off that one. It is a couple of years old, nearly 3 years old I think this video is. But anyway, as ever, shout out with your memories of the arcade game, etc. And the versions you had, if you are new to any of them, whether or not you like what you see, etc. Now, Tempest is like one of the old-fashioned sort of classics. It's a 1981 Atari game. I never experienced it in the arcade. My very first experience of Tempest was when I got an Atari Jaguar and Tempest 2000. I thought that was an amazing game. Even today it still looks brilliant, trippy, psychedelic and everything. So that's what really sort of opened my eyes to Tempest. And then a couple of years ago I played the Spectrum version. But anyway, let's get on with it. It's going to be Amstrad CPC, my chopped up old video of the Spectrum version, and then Axis Assassin for the Commodore 64. Let me know what you think. Okay, here we go, the first of the three versions that we're going to look at of Tempest. This is the Amstrad CPC 464 version. I'm not familiar with this at all, as I've already said. If you don't know the premise of Tempest, you play a sort of flipper to travel around a web that is full of nasties, etc., making their way from the bottom of the structures towards the front of the screen, and you've got to stop them all doing so. You get one zapper sort of smart bomb thing which you can use. The rest of the time it's all down to your wits and judgment. Now let's get into the Amstrad game. Right, come on. Right, so playing with joystick on this, and already you can sort of see in here that it's really sort of nicely presented. Tempest is a simple game to look at. It's also incredibly, oh, I've accidentally set off the Super Zapper sort of thing then. I keep calling it Super Zapper because of when I used to play the Atari Jaguar version. I don't actually know if it's called the Super Zapper. Right, okay. Now these, like, as you can see there, I've already got two sort of on the edge of the screen, those X's there, and if I sort of bash into them I'm going to die. And you can see you've got all sorts of enemies of different shapes and sizes. You've got crosses, you've got straight lines that can flick over between lines and or over between tracks, and they can be really sort of quite difficult to keep an eye on, especially sort of when they get closer. But yeah, Tempest is really frantic, or it can get frantic, and from my early plays of the Amstrad version, this is bloody good. I've really enjoyed the sort of 10 or 15 minutes I've sort of had on it. When you say sort of the only of the 8-bit versions I've encountered, let's press Z to set that thing off, that bomb thing off. The only one of the previous versions I've encountered so far has been the Spectrum version, which is good, and we will see. But it's really nice to see, you know, the Amstrad sort of sticking up for itself and getting a really good conversion of a game. Oh dear. because it really is a very, very good arcade conversion. Not sure who created the Amstrad version. Right, so... And as the sort of levels and web designs go on and get sort of more and more intricate, they can become more and more challenging and even more frantic. And despite, you know, only being on 8-bit machines, this is playing really quite well. And I would strongly urge you to check it out. So come on, Amstrad fans, come on, Tempest fans. What do you make of the game, and what do you make of the Amstrad version of the game? I've really enjoyed it. I can't really find anything to fault with it. Tempest is a simple sort of game in design, but oh god, I've accidentally set that off again. That means I'm going to struggle for the rest of the level. It's a really simple game in design, but really playable. Really sort of nailed on playability wise. Now, like I said, I came to Tempest sort of very late. Never played it in the arcade. My first experience of it was Tempest 2000 on the Jaguar, and what an awesome psychedelic game that was. Come on, get around there. Oh dear. That thing's going to do the rounds and kill me, see? Yeah, this is really good. Again, I'm not too keen on playing with joysticks though, but I couldn't work out what keys there are for the Amstrad version, so I just haven't bothered. I'll just suck it up. Now that should be that level cleared. That's a really nice effect. I wonder, oh, it should be that level cleared, dickhead. Ah, that's that level cleared. Yeah, that's a really nice effect, that is. Oh, I've let the bloody thing off again. That is an unfortunate pain in the arse. But yeah, let me know what you think of this version of Tempest. Oh, come on. Bloody hell, my arm's killing me. I suppose it's a natural game to convert, really, to get an arcade conversion sort of on the machines, because it's you know, fairly sort of, like I say, simple in design. Whoa! Issues with the focus on this bloody camera again. I'm really sorry if that's detracted from anything. It seems to only be when you get that warp effect that it sort of doesn't like it. Oh god, I've done it again. Just call me Brittany Baz. Come on. Yeah, really good fun. Really enjoying this. Come on, come on. As you can see, there's a lot going on. You get these the boxes that can break down into the line, sort of baddies, and they fire out those little bastards. Right, I think I've shown you enough of the Amstrad version, really. That is a really good game. Seems to be really sort of arcade perfect. Very recommended. Okay, let's move on into the Spectrum version. So I had a very quick couple of goes on this, and as you can see, it's quite a good iteration of the Tempest game. You know, it's obviously Tempest, it's clearly Tempest, and it plays really quite well, I think, anyway. The object of the game is you control the little bat. Technically it's called, well, according to Wikipedia, it's called a blaster, going around the outside of the 3D sort of tunnel there, and coming along the tunnel or the tube is a variety of baddies that you have to travel around, and you've got to stop them getting all the way out of the screen to like the front of the tube, etc. Now it gets quite frenetic and quite frantic. You are armed with just a laser, but you also, each level or each life, have a zapper that you can control by pressing Z. It's kind of like a smart bomb, so if things are getting too out of control for you, you can literally just fire that thing down the tube, and it will eradicate all the baddies on the screen. Now, as you go through the screens, the baddies take on different characteristics, etc., from the initial ones that just travel around the web towards you. You get ones that switch lanes, you get ones that will lay spikes, which you've got to be careful if one of them lays a spike, that when you sort of like whiz through to the end of the level, it doesn't sort of catch you as you're on your way out. Now they get more and more intricate, these webs, etc., and you've got to really sort of think about what you're doing. You can see the blaster travels really sort of quickly around the sort of periphery of the web, and that is the gameplay mechanic. You literally just travel around the outside of the web there, traveling clockwise or anti-clockwise, whilst trying to stop the sort of bad guys getting to your end of the screen. Now, the only criticism I can sort of really find about this is obviously because the Spectrum has its colour difficulties, which I'm not going to go into about, everyone knows about them. It can mean that when the enemies are first entering the web from the very far end, they all sort of converge into a mess, and it's only once they're sort of halfway in that you can sort of see who's where, what direction they're going, and what sort of you're up against, etc. But other than that, it plays really well. Like I said, I did have the Atari Jaguar version of Tempest, and that is a game that I played incessantly. I probably played it more purely because most other stuff on the system was rubbish. It was the only games I really sort of ever put any time into was it had a cracking version of Doom. It had a very good version of Cannon Fodder, and this I didn't play. Well, I did play Aliens vs Predator, but I found that a bit dull, really. So, you know, perhaps I played Tempest more than I would have done ordinarily if there had been more games out for the system. But I don't think my view of the game is skewed because everything else for the Jaguar was crap. I think it's just genuinely a fantastic game. So here we have the Spectrum version. I've just played it for a few minutes, and I quite enjoy it. It's well worth checking out. It's a good blast. I'm going to end this commentary in about 10 seconds because I'm just going to let the rest of the video play out. Any Tempest diehards out there, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're not a Tempest diehard, if you've never seen it, check it out, have a go at it. You're going to enjoy it, I think. And until the next video, I wish you good day and have a very good weekend, whatever it is you plan to do if the weather holds up. Goodbye. Okay, welcome back. Right, like I said, I couldn't find any information, and it appears that Tempest did not come out on the Commodore 64. So I've had a look around, and the nearest game that's been suggested on a post about 10 years ago on one of the Commodore forums is this, Axis Assassin from Electronic Arts. So there are some differences, but some similarities which you can see. So let's get on with it. Now, as you can see, yep, it does look very sort of Tempest-y in nature, but you can see, you know, oh dear, that one of the differences is that you can go in and out of the sort of the web, the sort of field that you're supposed to defend, and you know, that adds quite a neat sort of touch. Now, it looks just like a Tempest game. Bloody hell, that was quick. Yeah, it looks just like a Tempest game, but with that sort of added touch. Now, I really don't know why the Commodore 64 didn't get a version of Tempest. Please, if anyone has any sort of knowledge of that, please fill me in as to why that would have been, because I'm interested to know. It's one of the sort of rare occasions I found where there's a Spectrum and Amstrad version of a game, but not a Commodore 64 version. Now, this actually plays quite well. I haven't got a clue what I'm doing in it, but I suppose it's sort of Tempest-y in that you've got to sort of rid the web of baddies, etc., and get to the other end. I don't know what all these red and sort of white things are that I'm sort of shooting, these barriers that the sort of bad guys are laying. But yeah, it doesn't sort of play all that bad. So Commodore 64 fans, if you're aware of this game, what are your thoughts on it? Do you remember it? Would you have rather had a version of Tempest, or do you actually think this is better? Now, I don't know if there's any kind of... oh yes, there is. I was just going to say, I didn't know if there was any kind of smart bomb thing, but that seemed to be a smart bomb type thing, didn't it? Yeah, let's have sort of one more go. Like I say, I haven't got a clue about the plot or anything of this. I've only been playing this about 10 minutes, but yeah, it doesn't seem bad at all. Graphically, it's a bit sort of ropey, I suppose, and a little bit blocky, but there's nothing sort of overall sort of wrong with it in terms of gameplay. Just a little bit confusing, but that sort of being able to move into the screen sort of thing, that's actually quite good. And I wonder if any sort of updated versions of Tempest included that. I don't know. Right, okay. Make this the last go and then we'll move on to another version. Right, there we go. That was Axis Assassin for the Commodore 64. I'm going to try and look at another version of the official Tempest now. Okay, see you in a sec. Okay, so there we go. Now, of the two versions of Tempest there, I thought they were both excellent, good fun. Couldn't really have done more with each version, I don't think. Very, very accurate to the arcade original. I think you have to say that the Amstrad has it over the Spectrum version because of the clarity of the graphics, especially when the enemies are far away down the web. On the Spectrum, they tend to kind of mess together, and you can't sort of see or differentiate one from another, and they all sort of like in a big sort of messy sort of clump until they come closer to the screen. Whereas on the Amstrad, that's not an issue. But both versions are really, really good fun. I enjoyed them both. But I have to say the Amstrad pips it. Now, Axis Assassin had a couple of really nice ideas in it. Being able to sort of go into and out of the screen as well as up and down was really, really quite good. And I don't know if any kind of updated versions of Tempest exist that sort of borrow Axis Assassin's mechanic in that sense. But I really, really don't know why there isn't a Commodore 64 version of Tempest. If you're in the know on this, whether or not I would have thought the Commodore could handle a game like that, please let me know. And as ever, it's your memories, etc., that I'm after in relation to those versions. Amstrad owners, if you've never seen the Spectrum version, how do you think it compared to your version on the Amstrad? And vice versa for the Speccy fans. And Commodore 64 fans, jump in please with your memories, if you have any, of Axis Assassin. Now, I was absolutely crap at it, didn't know what I was doing. That's nothing new. Thanks ever so much for watching. If you like the video, please let me know. If you wish to subscribe, please do so. But if you do subscribe, please take the time to join in the discussion, because that's what we all like. Thank you ever so much. Take care. Goodbye.